everyone.
Hi everyone.
So we are going to talk about today what is competency-based learning and how we can implement it in our schools. We are going to give you some resources, some examples, some tips how you can go about it. So let us start with what is competency-based learning in the first place. So Gunwant ma'am, could you give me an idea what is competency-based learning?
Why not Shalvik? Shalvik, I just need your cooperation. Could you just let me know what do we do when we go to grocery shop? How do you
Uh,
reach there? What do you do
um,
beforehand?
Ma'am, generally when I go to a grocery shop, I see what is required at home and then I make a list. I have a vague idea how much it will cost, and then I go to the grocery store. I mean, it is right beside my house. I mean, like
Okay,
after one lane, so I just take a left and I reach there.
that's great. So what else you do when you reach over there? How do you select your things?
Ma'am, I see. So I have the list ready. When I leave home, I have the list ready. What all things I'll be needing, and based on the rough figure, I'm able to find out how much money I will need, what all the things are required. So when I go to the grocery store, sometimes I know what things are kept, where they are kept, but sometimes I don't know. Then I ask the shopkeeper where it is, how it is. So then I am able to find out.
Great. So every time when you get your bill, do you cross check it also?
Uh, yes, ma'am, I do cross check it that it has been that all the correct things I have been accounted for. I have been billed correctly. Yes, ma'am, I do check that.
Oh, that's great. So,
Yeah.
Shalvik, if you just get an insight into, we are just talking about the competencies that you have gained in your life. So, you
Okay,
have
ma'am.
gained various competencies over here, like how to do the approximation of the things, how to find the directions, how to collaborate with others, how you communicate with others. So, all these are the competencies basically.
Decision making, choice making. Correct.
Choice making, understanding the things. So, when we talk about the competency, basically it is acquiring the knowledge, developing your skills and attitude. So, it's a combination of all three.
Okay, ma'am. So it basically means that. So, ma'am, let's just look at what CBSE says what competency based learning is, and then we can elaborate on it. So, it
Sure.
focuses on a student's demonstration of learning outcomes and attaining proficiency in particular competencies in each subject. Teaching, which uses a CBE methodology, works to empower students and provide them with a meaningful and positive learning experience. It places the learner at the center and actively engages them in the learning process. It emphasizes real world applications of knowledge and skills and the authenticity of the learning experience.
Yes, it's more child centric education where the child needs to be involved into the learning process. So, more basically, the child should engage in all the activities. The child should actively participate if we really want the effective competency based education.
So it focuses more on grades and yearly curriculum, and it does not focus more on grades and yearly curriculum. It mainly focuses on how competent a student is in each subject. Okay.
Yes. So,
So
Shalvik, let's
let's
discuss the features.
yes, ma'am. Yes. So the main features also declared by CBSE for competency-based learning are equity for all students. So, ma'am, would you like to elaborate on that?
So, Shalvik, when we talk about equity, it means a fair chance to everyone. So, a lesson plan should be designed in such a way that each and every child gets the time to participate. Sometimes there might be students who might be slow in answering or slow in processing the information. So, we need to design a lesson plan in such a way that they also get a chance to participate. So, we need to find out some strategies where we are involving or having a mixed bag of the students where one active child is supporting the one which is slow. So this is how we need to design the lesson plans for it.
Okay. The second one, differentiated support based on students' individual needs. I feel that, for example, I am a slow learner, you might be a fast learner. I might understand things by seeing, by demonstrating. You might able to understand things by when a lecture is going on probably, or by seeing videos. So we might both have different ways of learning, different ways of understanding. So it should be recognized that at what pace I am learning, at what pace you are learning, in what ways you are understanding, in what ways I am understanding. So incorporating all of that, it should be able to cover all of the students so that no
That's
one is
that's
left out.
that's true. That's true, Shalvik. Shalvik, next when we talk about the features, next point is progress based on evidence of mastery rather than the time in the classroom. So it's not so that when I mention that okay, this is the competence the child needs to achieve, we really need to identify. We need to have the evidences in our hands. Has the child got mastery over it? So over here, time should not be a constraint actually. So we should design a lesson plan in such a way that every time we are giving sufficient time for all the different types of learners.
Okay, man. Okay. So the next point, the use of formative assessment, particularly peer and self-assessment, where students are encouraged to reflect on their own work and identify areas for improvement. This means that first of all, your teacher, you do not take your teacher as a teacher, you take them as a mentor. You work with your peers, you work with yourself, you assess yourself, what you don't know, what you know that you don't know, and what you know. I mean, it is a bit
Yeah,
complicated, but it is assessing that what all you things you require to learn, and this you are doing it by yourself and with the help of your peers. The teacher is there to just moderate this session. You are learning it by yourself. You are finding out things by yourself.
that's great. So let's move the next part, shall we?
Yes. 21st century skills. So the CBSE talks about incorporating 21st century skills as an important part in the curriculum. Students should be able to manage and should be having all these three skills: learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. So let's talk about each skill in detail. Let's start with learning
Yeah,
skills.
yeah,
Yes,
sure, shall we? So when we talk about the learning skill, we talk about the four C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So when we talk about the critical thinking, it's always like we have to find some solution. We have to think something differently. We have to think that okay, what could be the possible solution to this problem? Whenever we talk about the creativity, it's always like something new, that something innovative we can talk about. So that's the part of the creativity. Now when we talk about collaboration, it's like working together. I may be good in something, someone might be good in something. So everyone is unique. Until we don't collaborate, we cannot get the best out of everyone. So a person should know, a child should know that how we need to work together as a team. Next is communication. How effectively we are able to express our ideas. Sometimes we have seen that the students have numerous ideas, but they themselves are not so confident or they're not clear in sharing it. So these four C's are very important when we talk about the learning skills.
Okay, also to reflect on that, we were just talking about the formative assessment, and I think so that also covers all this when the student is working with his own peers. It covers all these
Yeah,
things, collaboration and
peer
communication as
learning.
well.
That's
Yes.
true. That's true.
Now, when we come to
Next,
the literacy skills, when we come to the literacy skills, it talks about information, media, and technology. There is ample of information available. Are you able to segregate? Are you able to funnel down what you require and how you want to use it? Media. There are several options. There are several ways where you can communicate, where you can present, how you're going to do it. So, are you able to use that technology? Now we have access to almost everything, be it AI, be it for basics, for how to present a presentation, how to use Excel. So you are having access to that technology and you are able to use it productively. That is a very important skill now. Since after also the Corona period, we it is almost necessary to know all these things.
yeah, I think so. Shalvik, we should make technology as the best tool of our teaching learning process. Like there are so many quizzes, so many things that can be done, where the things can be given and the assessment can be done on the spot.
Using technology also, you can cover all the students. So someone might
Yeah.
require videos, someone might require diagrams, someone might require lectures, someone might require videos. So everything can be incorporated. Yes, ma'am.
So next is the life skills, the last part of it. So here there are basically five things that we need to understand. First thing is flexibility. Sometimes the things don't work as we plan. So the child should have this kind of quality that they are flexible and they adjust to the changing environment. Leadership quality. How do you lead a team? How you empower them? How you motivate them? So these qualities are also very important in the coming centuries. Next, initiative. What new thing you want to implement? What is the change that you want to bring? Like we are talking about the climate change, the global warming. So, what type of initiatives you want to take on your behalf or for your team? Productivity. Are we like, I generally believe that anyone who is successful also has 24 hours, and the one which who has as the excuses also has 24 hours. So, how we are utilizing our 24 hours matters a lot. Social skills. Are we introvert? Are we extrovert? So these types of personalities do matter a lot. So whatever teaching strategies we are planning, whatever lesson plans we are designing, we need to ensure that these 21st century skills are specifically mentioned, are specifically taken care.
Okay, ma'am. Social skills and communication are very quietly interlinked as well. You are communicating properly, you are communicating the correct information, the right information. Social skills is more in the manner you are communicating. I might be saying, please do this, or I might also say, please do this. So the way you communicate comes in social skills. What you communicate comes in communication.
Great.
Now let's come to the learning outcomes. What does a learning outcome mean? I'll just read what CBSE has said. Learning outcome is a statement of what a learner should know, understand, and be able to demonstrate after learning a given topic or concept. So, ma'am, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure, Shalvik. So, learning outcomes are like what exactly the child should know, how the child is going to use that information to create something new. So, whenever we talk about the learning outcomes, they are different according to the different age levels. For example, when we talk about the primary, the learning outcomes would be definitely different from the middle school, secondary school, and the higher secondary. So CBSE has already designed these learning outcomes and it has already mentioned topic wise that for this topic, what would be the learning outcomes. So whenever we design our lesson plan, we need to ensure that all the learning outcomes should be accomplished at the end of that topic.
Okay. So, it is also mandatory to understand that a topic can have multiple learning outcomes. It does not necessarily need to have one. And it is also mandatory by the CBSE to have learning outcomes incorporated in your lesson plan. You cannot make a lesson plan without having learning outcomes. What the student is going to understand after the topic. It is absolutely essential. So now we will talk about some of the learning outcomes given by NCRT, and we'll start with the elementary stage. So we have taken an example of class 5 EVS. Ma'am, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure, Shalvik. So, for example, over here, they have given you the process that how you can, it's again a suggested progress. It's not saying that exactly this is what you need to do. They have given some suggestions that what you can do. And after that, they have given you learning outcomes also that what the child, how the child can have the mastery over the concept. For example, if you read the first statement, it says that the learner should be encouraged to observe and explore the animals for the unique and unusual sense of light, smell, hear, sleep, and their response to light, heat, sound, etc. So this is what we are going to do in our lesson plan, that we have to give different examples, we have to show different types of animals, and then we have to give them the chance to explore that what are the super senses in the animals. When it comes to the learning outcomes, the learning outcome is that the child should be able to explain that which super sense has been used by the animal, why the god has given that thing to that animal. So this is how it will go. For example, the question can be asked that why the sniffer dogs are used to identify this drugs and all. So the child can tell they have the super sense of smelling. So this is what the learning outcome should be.
Okay. Also, just to add on to it, while we were talking about on my way to the grocery store, so now if I'm able to understand a route from one place to another, that can be the process, and the outcome can
Yes.
be okay. I know there is a bank in between. This is its role. There is this Nagar Panchayat in between. This is its role. So I am able to also demonstrate that.
Yeah, even related to that example, Shalvik, when we said that, okay, the teacher can tell left and right, they can do various activities, okay, they can give them the quizzes. Okay, they have shown some school and banks, and they're asking which one is to the left and which one is to the right. But this is the information that you have got. But how you're applying it in day-to-day life is that you are identifying which side is the left side, which side is the right side, which way I have to go. So that is the learning outcome that you have achieved.
Okay. So now let's talk about the learning outcome for the secondary stage.
Senior grades. So
So
over here, when we talk about,
yeah,
so over here
please.
when we talk about that, for example, that child who has been taught different types of maps, like physical map, political map, and thematic map. So the information is given, the child has done various activities to understand what are these. So when we talk about the learning outcome, for example, there is a combination of physical and thematic map that is given to a child, and the diagram is given, and the question might be asked that why do you think that where is the more population, what could be the reason behind it. So the child has to identify from the physical map and the thematic map that what could be the possible reasons for having a more population in one area as compared to the other.
Okay. For example, so I study different laws. I study what all changes the government has brought about. So,
Mm,
and my learning outcome can be I'm able to recall, okay, this happened during this time. These were the
mm,
socio-economic, social, political changes that happened during this
mm,
time. This can be my learning
learning out. That's true.
outcome. So now let's go to the senior classes, class 11th and 12th.
And still, this is under process, and it's just a draft what NCRT has shared.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So when we talk about senior grades, so over here, for example, first thing what we study in first is the first chapter, that what are the natural processes or phenomena that happen and which are related to physics. So here we are just giving the information. These processes are there, force is there, momentum is there, gravity is there, upthrust is there. So these are the basic information we are giving to the child. But how that child is recognizing those concepts and how the child is applying to day-to life, it matters. For example, when we talk about here, like the child might have studied about greenhouse effect or something like that, the child can understand if like the child has got the mastery of the learning outcomes, that yes, the temperature of the car which has a closed mirrors would be definitely more than the outer surrounding because the greenhouse effect has taken place over there.
Okay. Yeah, for example, there is an apple which is kept at an height. It has potential energy, and if it is falling down, it is kinetic. So I might have read about potential and kinetic energy, but I'm able to explain it and demonstrate it. That can be my learning outcome.
Yes, that's
So now let's delve deeper and the things we have understood, and now let's go into the lesson plan, how we should make it, which will incorporate all of these skills.
And again, this is just a suggestive idea that what are the things that you can add on to the lesson plan. So there's no hard and fast rule. This is how your lesson plan should be. And this lesson plan format we basically believe is for the senior and the secondary and the senior secondary classes.
Okay, ma'am.
So basic information like your name, your designation to which class you are teaching, which subject you are teaching, what is the name of the lesson plan, that all can be documented. And then we start with the learning outcomes. So shall we start with the learning outcomes?
Learning outcomes that we had explained earlier. So I will not like to extend this video. If you can refer to the learning outcomes, what are learning outcomes exactly? Learning outcomes is basically what we expect the student to know and able to demonstrate and understand after a topic is completed. In short, you can also go back to the video and you will find out what learning outcomes are.
And we have already shared the links for the learning outcomes which are set by the NCRT. Next is the duration
Yes,
of
ma'am.
the topic. Again, when you decide the duration of the topic, you cannot consider that, okay, my like lesson, I have the period of 30 minutes, so I need to wind up this lesson 30 minutes. It may be difficult for everyone to cope in. So you have to first evaluate your learners. In according to that, you have to decide that what would be the duration of your lesson plan to achieve that learning outcome.
Okay. As a teacher, there might be instances where I think that this book has better examples than this book. This is able to explain better than this book. So I should also mention the book references if there are any that will be required while explaining, while teaching.
Next comes the detail of your pedagogical strategies, how you want your concept to be taught to your child. Okay, so for example, it could be anything, three stays, one stray, think, share, pair, any type of strategies that you want to add to give an insight. Again, do remember that the child should be the center. If you are the one who is explaining the concept, there are chances that the child might not get what you want to explain. So over here, we have to be like a mentor rather than a teacher. So you can have art integrated things also incorporated into your lesson plan. You can have, sometimes even if you see the pack cards, what were issued by the CBSE, they say that it's very difficult to separate the academics from the sport things. So you can have some sports integrated things added to your lesson plans, because again we believe that there are different types of intelligences. So we should try to design a lesson plan in such a way that we try to identify the learning styles of our learners and make the best out of it.
So, for example, if am learning about perimeter, or if I'm learning about physics, I can take the students to the sports field, to the football ground, tell them, okay, I'm sorry, the borders of it is the perimeter. The that the way I'm hitting the ball, if it takes a curve, that ways I can incorporate physics into it and mathematics into it.
Physics into parabolic shapes and everything. Shalvi, there was a beautiful concept. The students in one of the schools, they made parabolic huts.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so this is a learning outcome actually.
This is a way how they are incorporating different subjects into it.
Yes, yes.
Next one is topic of the lesson for presentation by the students. So by presentation, we do not necessarily mean that a presentation as in a PPT, but they can also read it out. Read it out means what they have written, what they have understood, they can read it out. They can demonstrate, they can do an activity, but they are able to explain the topic in their terms, however they want it. And they are able to present it properly. So that they have their own understanding, they have their own examples, and they have a deeper understanding of the subject. That's what I think. So mainly competency based education also talks about mastery of a subject.
Mastery of a subject.
Yeah.
Shalvik, I would just like to add on over here, like we have the dramas or we have short plays in the lesson plans. So if rather than reading it out to the students, if it could be like someone becomes a character and a small type of setting can be made, and they enact their drama, they get more information, they get more knowledge to it.
And they'll be able to make more connections and remember it better as well.
Obviously, when you do something on your own, you remember it for a longer time.
Yes, sir. Definitely, ma'am.
Next is the name 21st century skills to be developed. So we have already explained in starting of the this video that what are the 21st century skills. So here we have to be very specific that what exactly we are aiming at. So we need to ensure that all the different learning skills are incorporated into a lesson plan. So literacy, learning, life skills, all these skills, please ensure that we somewhere or other we have a part of it.
Okay.
Next, we have the activities, experiments, hand-on learnings, and projects. This is where the child is exactly going to demonstrate what the child has learned, how the child is applying the knowledge that the child has gained.
So
So this is very important part.
we also have to incorporate the activities, make experiments as such, so that they are able to demonstrate it. An experiment, an activity should not be what we are telling the student and they are just doing what we are saying. We give them an idea and they do it themselves.
Yeah, they should have, whenever they're dealing with the experiment, they should be able to record their experiments. They should be able to interpret that what different observations mean to them.
Okay. So and
Next is inter.
just to add an example, for example, we are talking about geography. So and then the school goes on a trip, so the teacher is able to tell, oh, look at the environment, the weather here, look at the weather
Mm.
where we were, look at the, if this, that is a hilly region, it is that, and if you are on the plains, the region is like that. So like that way also they can incorporate all these things.
Yeah, they can easily, differentiate between the flora and the fauna of different landforms also.
Definitely.
Like type of shape the leaves are, what type of the trees are there.
Definitely. Next point is interdisciplinary linkages and infusion of life skills, values, gender sensitivity, and environmental awareness. So, for example, let's talk about the three R's: reuse, recycle, and reduce. So, what all does it incorporate? It incorporates environmental awareness. It involves sensitivity towards other things. You are sensitive towards the environment. You are sensitive to other people. You also demonstrate empathy in a larger sense, that you have respect that future generations should have a decent world after you go.
Even over here, Shalvik, this can be, like when we talk about this topic can be linked with other subjects also. Like, for example, in English, we can ask, or in the languages, we can ask the students, ki, okay, which one you feel is more effective way of saving the environment from these 3 hours? In art they can draw some slogans so that they can share it with their neighborhood that okay, this is how we need to save the environment. Even they can go with gardening thing or whatever we call it, like vertical gardening. So there are many ways one topic can be linked with other this thing subjects.
Definitely. Definitely.
Next is the resources. So the resources could be anything that you require to execute your lesson plan, even your content book, notebook. These are your resources. If you want to conduct some sort of activity, because lesson plans has to be developed beforehand, so over there you have to mention all the resources that you require. There could be some resources that the students might need to carry from their home, so it has to be documented very clearly what type of resources are required. And we request teachers that please make technology as a strong tool in designing your lesson plan and in implementing your lesson plan.
That's why we
It's
have
the need of the
we have
hour.
specially written including ICT, information and communication technology. You are also incorporating technology into it.
Yeah, that's very important.
Assessment items for measuring the attainment of learning outcomes in the class and as home assignments. So what this means is, how are you going to check the student has understood what you have taught, what they have learned, and they are able to demonstrate it and also explain it in a proper manner. Formative, summative assessments, your question and answers, challenging questions, and they do not necessarily need to be your question and answers. You can ask them to do an activity. For example, there are interactive quizzes also. You can do challenging questions, like intriguing questions. So for example, I mean, does why do some trees pollinate a lot of seeds, and why do some trees pollinate one seed, which are big seeds? So you can ask these intriguing questions, which will just make them ponder that why is it so. So they delve deep into it. Peer assessment is, that means, okay, I talked to my friend, has he understood this, then he asked me, okay, is it like that, am I able to explain it, is he able to explain it? So we are also in a way self sufficient, and we are able to understand things with our friends itself.
Shalvik, I would like to add on that this formative assessment is very important and it should be done for every learning outcome. It doesn't mean that, okay, I will complete my chapter and then I will do my formative assessment. Formative assessment has to be done as soon as your learning outcome has, like you have finished your teaching or learning process for your learning outcome. So then and there, the formative assessment should be done. And one more example for peer assessment, Shalvik, like we both are there, right? So our teacher gives us some information. Okay, this is a setting, this is a character, and you have to make your own story. So I write my story, you write your story, and then we exchange our stories, and then we get the parameters. Okay, we need to check: does the story have a title? Does the story has a setting? Does it has something a beginning? Does it has a problem? Does it some has solution? So
Is it
then
like
this is how we will
concept?
have
Yeah.
the peer assessment.
Next.
Next come the remedial teaching plans or plans for unfinished portion of previous unit. For example, I decided that my this learning objective has to be completed in 40 minutes. I gave my 40 minutes, I had my assessment, and out of that assessment there were few kids, maybe 4 or 5, who didn't score or who didn't perform according to me. So for them I should have some remedial lesson plans ready with me. The remedial lesson plan is very important. If it is not done, the learning gaps will increase and the child will not be able to collaborate, move forward with the next information. Next thing is that, for example, whenever you're like planning your remedial lesson plan, you have to find some different strategy to conduct that remedial. Maybe the way you have done it has already not triggered any kind of learning for your child. So we need to find out something different. Over here, learning style, understanding the learning style of the learner is very, very important. So here it should be very child oriented and very child specific.
Next point is inclusive practices. So you might have children who are specially abled in your classroom. So whenever you are making a lesson plan, or whenever you are planning an activity, make sure you're, for example, if they aren't able to walk, you are incorporating activities and experiments as such, which does not require a lot of movement, or even if it does, there is a proper arrangement done for him or her to travel, to move from one place to another. Keeping all these things in mind is also very important, because or else that student will be left out.
So only I think so, Shalvik, over here we need to ensure that everyone, again when we talk about it's equity for everyone, so everyone should get a fair chance, everyone should be included in the learning teaching process. Next comes that how will you like you did your assessment, take care you did your remedial also, but how will you verify that the learning outcomes are achieved or not? For that, we have something called as holistic progress card. I request Shalvik to click on the link, please. So over here, the assessment that you have done, how are you going to assess it? So what it says that have the three levels: beginner, who has got the basic idea of the concept what you wanted the child to do. Next is progressing. Yeah, the child is doing to some extent, but still the child has not got the mastery over the concept. And last is proficient. Proficient means the child has achieved what you wanted the child to achieve. Over here, there are a few things that are very important to consider. First thing is that this is Like for example, at the beginning of the session or your academic year, you need to consider all your kids at the beginning level. From there you need to assess your child. From there we need to ensure that there is a progress in each and every child by the end of the year. Parents also do play a very important part in this. So you have to make them the partner. You have to receive the feedback from them. You have to give them the feedback. Okay, this is the support that I need from your side. I want you to practice this at home. Generally I have seen that parents that do not know how to help in the competency based education. They believe that okay, we need to go home, we need to do the question answers, we need to practice the spellings, and that's all. So we also need to tell them that how they need to be made a part of this competency based education.
Also, the last point which is mentioned in the lesson plan is career options related to the topic. So generally what happens is a student during class 11th or probably during class 12th, they are told, okay, these are your career options. This is what you can do. This is how you can move forward. If we are able to incorporate these career options in every lesson plan. So for example, if I'm teaching a topic in geography or a topic in history, I'm able to tell, okay, these are the career options which are related to it. He might not remember them, he might not be able to understand them perfectly, but he will have a basic idea. Oh, from this, if I am interested in topic, these are probably the career options I have. If I want to delve deep into this is the way I will be wanting to go forward later in life. So slowly and steadily, if we keep on mentioning these career options, when the child comes at a senior level, at a senior in a senior class, they will be able to understand what they really want to do. They will probably have more clarity what career path they want to take, because from the start only they have been understanding, okay, these are the career options in this, these are the career options in this. So they will have better clarity about it.
So we are going to share the link for this lesson plan format also. And stay tuned with us. We'll get back to you for our next video, which is specifically for the lesson plan that is designed for the primary classes, which is given by CBSE under Foundation of Literacy and Numeracy. Signing off, me and Shalvik. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.